The cargo hauler shuddered as adjusted the controls. Space was supposed to be quiet, but his old ship always found ways to complain. Metal groaned. Pipes rattled. The engine hummed with a sound that meant it needed fixing again. Had stopped counting how many times he had patched this bucket of bolts together. He was 3 days into a milk run between mining colonies when the signal came through. At first, he thought it was interference. Static crackled across his communications panel, mixed with something that sounded almost like words. Then his scanner lit up with a distress beacon. Frowned at the readings. The signal came from the fourth planet in this system, a rock nobody bothered visiting. No colonies, no stations, just red dust and thin air. But the signature was all wrong for a human ship. The energy readings were too high, too clean. Military grade, maybe, or something else. He knew the smart move. Ignore it. Keep flying. Distress signals in empty space usually meant pirates or worse, but had never been good at ignoring people who needed help. His mother used to say it would get him killed someday. She was probably right. Changed course. The planet's atmosphere buffeted his ship as he descended. Red clouds swirled around his. The distress signal grew stronger, leading him to a canyon system carved deep into the surface. And there, half buried in the sand, was a ship that made his breath catch. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The hull gleamed with a blue-black metal he had never seen before. Sharp angles and smooth curves blended together in ways human ships never managed. Lights pulsed beneath the surface like veins carrying blood. But the ship was broken. A massive gash ran along one side. Debris scattered across the sand. Scorch marks covered the hull. Landed his hauler a safe distance away and grabbed his tool kit. The air outside was thin but breathable. His suit's readouts showed it would give him a headache in a few hours but would not kill him. He approached the crashed ship carefully. The main hatch hung open. Called out, "Hello, anyone alive in there?" Movement came from inside. Fast movement. Before could react, someone grabbed him and slammed him against the hull. His vision blurred. When it cleared, he was staring at something that was definitely not human. She stood nearly 7 feet tall. Her skin was the color of deep ocean water, marked with patterns that glowed faintly with blue light. She wore armor that seemed to grow from her body rather than sit on top of it. The plates were cracked in places, showing more of that glowing skin beneath. Her eyes were solid silver without pupils, and they stared at with suspicion. "Who are you?" she demanded. Her voice was rough like gravel. He managed. "I'm just a cargo hauler. I picked up your distress signal." "A human." She said it like humans were insects. "How far is the nearest military outpost?" 2 weeks, maybe 3, said. "Why, what happened here?" She released him and stepped back. "We were ambushed, our squadron scattered. This ship will not fly again." She looked him up and down. "And you are alone, no fleet." "Just me and my hauler," said, rubbing his shoulder where she had grabbed him. "Look, I came to help, but if you're going to break my arm, I can leave." The alien woman studied him for a long moment. Then she turned and walked back into her ship. "Come inside, quickly." Followed, his eyes adjusting to the dim interior. The ship was a mess. Sparking wires hung from the ceiling. Coolant dripped from broken pipes. Emergency lights cast everything in red. 3 more aliens sat or stood in what looked like the command center. All of them were female, all tall and armored, all watching him like he might explode. "This is my squad," the first alien said. "I am commander, this is," and she pointed to each in turn, was studying with curious eyes, looked injured, her armor cracked across her side. The expression showed nothing but contempt. "We are," continued, "warriors of the Empire. We were transporting intelligence when we were attacked by ships. We managed to escape, but our ship is dead. The core is damaged. Our self-repair systems are offline." Walked around the room, looking at the damage. He pulled out a small scanner from his tool kit and ran it over the nearest panel. The readings made him whistle. "Your technology is way beyond human level, but I might be able to help." Laughed, it was not a friendly sound. "A human, help us. Look at him, Commander. He is tiny, weak. His people barely understand fusion power. What can he possibly do?" "He is here," said firmly. "And we are stuck, unless you want to wait for rescue while breathing recycled air and eating emergency rations for a month." "I can take a look at your core," offered. "I might not understand all your technology, but broken is broken in any language. Sometimes the problem is simpler than it looks." Stood up. "Let him try, Commander. What do we lose?" Nodded slowly. "Very well, human, but if you damage anything further, we will throw you out the airlock. Is that clear?" "Crystal clear," said, though he noted the ship did not seem to have an airlock anymore. "Show me your engine room." They led him deeper into the ship. With every step's mind raced. They were clearly powerful, clearly advanced, but they were also stranded and desperate, and from the way kept glancing at the door they expected company, bad company. The engine room was worse than he expected. The core sat in the center, a sphere of contained energy that pulsed weakly. Conduits ran from it to every part of the ship, but half of them were severed. Control panels sparked and died. The air smelled like burnt ozone. Set down his toolkit and got to work. They watched him in silence. His hands moved quickly, checking connections, testing circuits, tracing power flows. Human technology might be primitive compared to theirs, but broken systems followed the same basic rules. After an hour, he found the problem. "Your containment field generator has a cracked housing," he said, pointing. "The core itself is fine, but the generator cannot maintain stable output. Every time it tries to power up, it overloads and shuts down." "We know this," snapped. "We are not stupid. The housing is bio-integrated. It cannot be replaced without a shipyard." "Maybe not replaced," said, "but I might be able to stabilize it, buy you enough power to get communications working again, maybe even life support at full capacity." Leaned forward. "Do it." As worked, he felt 4 pairs of silver eyes watching his every move. They might be warriors, but right now, they were putting their lives in the hands of a human cargo hauler. He hoped he did not let them down. Outside the ship, the wind howled across the red planet, and somewhere in the dark between stars, something was hunting. His fingers ached. He had been working for 6 hours straight, splicing wires and rerouting power conduits. The core system was elegant and complex, but it followed logic he could understand. Energy needed paths to flow. Brakes needed bridges. The hard part was doing it with human tools that were never meant for alien technology. He sat back and wiped sweat from his forehead. "Okay, try it now." Pressed her hand against a control panel. The ship hummed. Lights flickered, then steadied. The air circulation system kicked on with a whoosh. Around them, the engine room went from dim red emergency lighting to a soft blue glow. "Life support is stable," reported, checking a display. Her voice held surprise. "Full capacity. How did you do that?" Shrugged. "Your system tried to power everything at once. The damaged housing could not handle it. I created a sequential startup. Each system gets power one at a time. Takes longer, but it works." "Clever," said. She looked at him differently now, not with contempt but with something close to respect. "For a human." "Communications?" asked. Shook his head. "That is the next problem. Your comm array is not just broken, it is melted, but I have an idea. Give me access to your armor systems." Stepped forward. "Absolutely not. Our armor is integrated with our bodies. It is sacred. We do not let outsiders touch it." "Your armor has neural transceivers, right?" said, "to connect with your ship's systems." "Yes," said slowly. "What are you thinking?" "I can use those transceivers to boost a signal. Connect several suits together, use my ship's comm system as a base, and we might get a message out. It will not be pretty, but it will work." Who had been quiet since started working, spoke up. Her voice was weak, her glowing skin patterns flickering. If it means rescue, I say yes. This wound will not heal properly without medical facilities. Looked at her injured warrior, then at, do it, but you will start with my armor. If you damage it, you answer to me. She led him to a smaller room. Equipment lined the walls. In the center stood a workbench with tools could not begin to understand. Began removing parts of her armor. The pieces did not unbuckle or unstrap. They seemed to separate from her skin with a soft sound like tearing silk. Beneath the armor, her glowing patterns pulsed stronger. The chest piece is the main transceiver node, she explained, placing it on the bench. It connects all other pieces and interfaces with ship systems. Be careful, it is sensitive. Examine the armor piece. It was warm to the touch, almost alive. Circuit-like patterns ran through it, glowing faintly. He could see where the neural connections interfaced, delicate as spider webs. One wrong move and he could burn out the whole system. He pulled out his magnification visor and set to work. His tools looked primitive next to technology. Screwdrivers and wire cutters instead of whatever advanced instruments they used. But sometimes primitive tools were exactly what you needed. They were simple, predictable, easy to control. The other crowded the doorway, watching. Arms were crossed, leaned forward, curious, stood with difficulty, not wanting to miss this. Found the transceiver node. It was a crystal structure, beautiful and complex. He needed to add a bypass circuit that would let it connect to human communication frequencies. His hands moved slowly, carefully, one wire at a time, each connection tested before moving to the next. Stood perfectly still. She had to. The armor piece was still partially connected to her, neural pathways open. Any movement could disrupt work or hurt her. Their positions put them close together, uncomfortably close. Could feel the heat from her skin, see the patterns pulse with what might have been her heartbeat. He reached for a deeper connection point. His hand was steady, but he hesitated. This was intimate in a way he had not expected. He was literally working on something connected to her nervous system, the equivalent of surgery without anesthesia. Human said, her silver eyes looked down at him. Why do you stop? I do not want to hurt you, admitted. This next part might be uncomfortable. Something that might have been a smile crossed her face. It was hard to tell with expressions. I am a warrior. I have been shot, stabbed, and blown up. A little discomfort does not frighten me. Still said, I will be as gentle as possible. He started the next connection. Patterns flared brighter. Her breathing changed, became more controlled. Worked as fast as he dared, knowing she was in pain but not showing it. Warriors, always so stubborn. Halfway through, his hands paused again. Not because of propriety this time, but because he needed to check his work. One wrong connection and he could fry her neural pathways. Leaned closer. Her voice was quiet, meant only for him. Go on, human, don't stop. Felt everyone tense, made a sound of disapproval. Eyes widened, even looked surprised, but gaze stayed on his hands, watching him work with what he realized was admiration. Your hands do not shake, observed. You work on something you do not fully understand with tools not meant for this task, and yet you do not hesitate or fumble. This is skill. I have been fixing broken things my whole life, said, continuing his work. You learn to work with what you have. We have forgotten this, said. Our technology repairs itself. Our weapons maintain themselves. When something breaks beyond self-repair, we simply replace it. We have lost the skill of making do. Not entirely, said from the doorway. We still know how to fight. Fighting and fixing are not so different, said. He completed another connection. Both are about finding the weakness and addressing it. You use weapons, I use tools. Snorted, weapons and tools are not the same. One takes courage, the other takes patience. Both take intelligence, countered. And sometimes courage means knowing when to fix instead of fight. That shut up, allowed himself a small smile as he worked. The final connection took 20 minutes. His vision blurred from staring through the magnification visor. His fingers cramped, but finally the last wire was in place. He sat back and removed the visor. "Okay," he said, "the hard part is done. Now we connect it to my ship's system and pray this works." They returned to the command center, ran cables from his portable comm unit to his armor piece, then to the armor pieces of and. Armor was too damaged to include. The setup looked ridiculous, like something held together with hope and determination, which was not far from the truth. "Everybody hold still," said. He activated the system. For a moment nothing happened. Then the comm unit crackled. Static filled the air, but beneath it was something else. A carrier wave, a connection. Spoke in her own language, words that sounded like singing and growling mixed together. She repeated a message several times, then looked at. Did it transmit? Checked his readouts. Signal went out. Whether anyone hears it depends on if your fleet is in range. Could be hours, could be days. "But you did it," said. "You connected systems that were never meant to work together, using human technology to boost signals." "It is backwards," said. "Wrong. Primitive technology should not be able to interface with advanced systems." "And yet it does," said quietly. She looked at with something he could not quite read. "Thank you, human, you have given us hope." "Just doing what I can," said. "But Commander, we should talk. Your ship was damaged in battle. Whoever did this might come back to finish the job. How long until your fleet arrives?" "S patterns dimmed. If they receive the message 2 days, maybe more." "Then we should prepare," said. "Because if I found you, others can too." Outside the ship, the wind continued to howl across red sand, and in the dark between stars, hunters were indeed coming. They had unfinished business with Commander and her squad. The alarm came at dawn. Not that dawn meant much on this planet. The sun rose red and angry, turning the sand to blood. But it was morning when Scanner started screaming warnings. "We have incoming," he shouted, running into the ship. 3 vessels, dropping out of orbit fast. "Was at the command station immediately. Can you identify them?" Pulled up the scanner data. "Signatures match your database, ships, same ones that attacked you." Every in the room went rigid. Checked her weapons, sealed her armor. Even wounded tried to stand, though pushed her back down with a firm hand. "They tracked us," said. Her voice was ice. "They want the intelligence I carry, information about a weakness in their fleet formations. If they capture me alive, they will torture it out of me." "How long do we have?" asked. 15 minutes, said. "Maybe 20. They are landing about 5 kilometers from here." "We cannot run," said. "Cannot move quickly, and the human ship cannot carry all of us." His jaw tightened. "Then we fight, make them bleed for every meter, prepare defensive positions, use the ship's hull as cover." "Wait," said. Everyone looked at him. "Fighting is their game. They are better at it than us, better equipped, better trained. We need to change the game." "Explain," commanded. Pulled up a map of the area. "This canyon system has unstable walls, lots of loose rock. Your ship's energy core is damaged but still generating power. What if we use it as a trap, rig it to overload in a controlled way? Bait them in, hit them with an energy pulse, bring the canyon down on them." "That is insane," said. "We would have to time it perfectly. One mistake and we all die." "Better than getting captured," said, "or killed in a straight fight." Studied the map. It could work, but someone needs to lead them into position, someone they want alive. "You said, they are here for you, we use that." Nodded slowly. "The human thinks like a survivor, not a warrior, but maybe that is what we need." "Set it up," ordered. "Help rig the core, get to the human's ship, seal her inside. She cannot fight in her condition." They moved quickly and worked on the core, routing power into a feedback loop that would build until it exploded. Set up his cargo ship's electromagnetic pulse generator to add to the chaos. It was not a weapon, just a tool for clearing static, but at full power it might disrupt the armor systems. Carried to the cargo hauler, the wounded warrior protested but ignored her. "You are injured. You will slow us down. Let us fight while you heal." Grab's arm. "Come back alive, sister." "Always do," promised. They arrived exactly on schedule. 6 of them, heavily armored in black and red. Their leader was bigger than the others, with scars across his helmet. They moved in formation, weapons ready, scanning for threats. Watched from his hidden position behind a rock outcropping, his heart hammered. He was not a soldier, not a warrior, just a mechanic who fixed things. But fixing and breaking were 2 sides of the same coin. If he knew how to put things together, he knew how to take them apart. Stepped into the open. Her armor was damaged, but she stood proud. "Sung," she called out, "I know you, come to finish what you started." The big commander laughed. "Commander, you led us on quite a chase, but it ends here. Surrender the intelligence and we will make your death quick." "I would rather eat sand," said. She raised her weapon, a rifle that crackled with energy. "Come, take it from me." Sung gestured. His soldiers spread out, flanking positions, professional, disciplined, exactly what expected. He triggered his first trap. Rocks tumbled from the canyon wall, triggered by explosive charges he had placed. Not enough to hurt anyone, but enough to funnel them into the kill zone. They moved where he wanted them, seeking cover from the rockslide. "Now," whispered into his communicator. Opened fire from her position. Energy bolts lit up the canyon. A soldier went down, his armor smoking. The others returned fire but was already moving. Warriors were fast. She flowed from cover to cover like water. Attacked from the opposite side. Her weapon was different, some kind of blade that glowed white-hot. She closed with a soldier before he could react. The blade sheared through armor like paper. The soldier fell, dying. But they were good too. They adapted quickly. Sung directed his remaining 4 soldiers, using their superior firepower to pin down, and energy blasts carved chunks from the rocks. The canyon filled with smoke and noise. Saw his opening. He sprinted from his hiding spot, running low and fast. They did not notice him at first. Just a small human, no threat. By the time they realized their mistake, he was at his ship. He triggered the electromagnetic pulse at full power. The generators screamed. An invisible wave of energy washed over the battlefield. The armor stuttered, displays flickering. Their weapons misfired. For just a moment, they were vulnerable. Did not waste it. She dropped 2 soldiers with precise shots. His blade found a third, but Sung was fast. He rolled behind cover, his armor rebooting faster than the others. He fired blind and one of his shots found. She went down hard. Her armor sparked where the energy bolt hit her shoulder. She tried to stand but collapsed. Moved to protect her, but Sung had the advantage now. His weapon charged, ready to fire. Did not think. He grabbed a piece of loose metal and threw it. The metal hit Sung's helmet, not hard enough to hurt but enough to distract. Sung turned, saw, and started to laugh. "A human. They brought a human to fight me." "I'm not here to fight," said. He pressed the detonator in his hand. "I'm here to cheat." The ship's core overloaded. A pulse of blue energy exploded outward, not big enough to kill but massive enough to shake the ground. The unstable canyon walls, already weakened by explosives, began to collapse. Tons of rock and sand tumbled down. "Fall back," Sung screamed. They ran. So did, and carrying between them, sprinted for his ship. Behind them the canyon filled with debris. Rocks the size of buildings crashed down. Dust choked the air. The roar was deafening. When the dust settled, a wall of rubble separated them from the... Could hear Sung shouting orders on the other side, hear the sound of his soldiers digging. But it would take them hours to get through. Inside, the cargo hauler was already pulling out medical supplies, laid on the floor. The wound was bad. The energy had burned through armor and flesh. Glowing patterns flickered weakly. "I need to stop the bleeding," said. He grabbed supplies from his emergency kit. Human supplies meant for human injuries, but blood was blood. He applied pressure to the wound, used chemical coagulants, sealed it with synthetic skin. His hands moved automatically, doing what they had been trained to do. They watched him work. They had advanced medicine, but they were warriors, not doctors, and crude methods were working. After 10 minutes, bleeding stopped. Her pattern steadied. "How did you know to do that?" asked quietly. "Humans are fragile," said, not looking up from his work. "We break easily, so we got very good at putting ourselves back together." He finished bandaging the wound. "She will live, but she needs real medical care soon." Put her hand on his shoulder. "You saved her life. In my culture, that creates a debt bond, owes you her life." "She doesn't owe me anything," said. "We're on the same side." "That is not how it works," said weakly. She tried to smile. "You are stuck with me now, human." Looked at with new eyes. No contempt now. Maybe not friendship, but definitely respect. "You fought well, for someone who is not a warrior." "I'm not a warrior," agreed. "I'm just someone who refuses to give up." Checked her armor's readings. "Sung will get through that rubble. When he does, he will bring everything he has, and our distress call." She paused. "There has been no response yet." Looked at the wall of rubble, looked at the wounded, looked at the tired faces around him. "Then we need a better plan, because I'm not dying on this red ball of dust. Not today." Outside, beyond the rubble, Sung was already calling for reinforcements. This was not over, not by a long shot. The communications array crackled to life 3 hours after the first fight. Not with a response to his distress call, but with a message from Commander Sung. His voice came through rough and angry. "Commander, I know you can hear me. My reinforcements arrive in 10 hours, a full battalion, 50 soldiers, gunships, heavy weapons. You have 2 choices. Surrender now and I promise you a clean death. Or wait and I will make you watch your squad die slowly before I take that intelligence from your corpse." Did not respond. She just switched off the communicator and looked at her team. Lay on a makeshift bed, pale but stable. Sat beside her, still weak from her own wounds. Checked her weapons for the 10th time. And stood at his workbench, surrounded by pieces of technology from both ships. 50 soldiers," said quietly. "We are 4 and 2 of us are injured." 3 corrected, "and cannot fight. That leaves you, me and." "I told you I'm not a fighter," said. He did not look up from his work. His hands moved quickly, connecting wires to a power cell. "You fought today," said. "You saved life." "I delayed the enemy and did first aid," corrected. "That's not fighting, that's surviving." "What is the difference?" asked. She sounded genuinely curious. Finally looked up. "Fighting is about defeating the enemy. Surviving is about making sure you're still standing when it's over. Sometimes they look the same. Sometimes they're completely different." He held up what he had been working on. It looked like a weapon, but wrong. The barrel was too wide. The power cell was connected backwards. The whole thing looked like it would explode if fired. "What is that?" asked from her bed. "An electromagnetic pulse cannon," said. "I took the pulse generator from my ship, boosted it with parts from your weapons, and turned it into something that might actually work as a weapon. It will not kill anyone, but it will shut down their armor systems, make them vulnerable." Took the device, examining it. "This should not work. The power flow is all wrong." "It should not work according to how you build weapons," agreed. "But humans build things differently. We work with what we have, not what we wish we had." Stood and walked to his workbench. "What else can you build?" Over the next 6 hours, worked like a man possessed. He stripped parts from his cargo hauler. He cannibalized damaged systems from the ship. He combined technologies that were never meant to work together and made them sing. He built 3 more EMP devices, smaller than the first but just as effective. He rigged proximity mines using energy cells and human motion sensors. He created a jamming system that would make it harder for them to coordinate. Every piece was crude, makeshift, held together with wire and determination. Watched him work with growing amazement. Where did you learn this? Cargo haulers break down a lot, said. He was soldering a connection, his face lit by the blue welding spark. Especially old ones like mine. Can't afford proper parts. Can't afford proper repairs. So you learn to improvise, make do, turn trash into treasure. This is not treasure, said, looking at the pile of makeshift weapons. This is barely functional garbage. Garbage that might keep us alive, said. He finished the connection and tested it. The device hummed to life. Functional garbage is better than being dead with proper equipment. Laughed from her bed. I like this human, he has the right attitude. Groaned, he is insane but useful. While built weapons and prepared the battlefield, they set up firing positions among the rocks. They placed makeshift mines along the approaches. They turned the crashed ship into a fortress, using its remaining power to create energy barriers at key. 8 hours after Sung's message, they were as ready as they would ever be, stood on a ridge looking at their handiwork. It did not look like much. A broken alien ship, a beat-up cargo hauler, some rocks and sand. But they had turned it into a maze of death, or at least a maze of really bad injuries. It will not be enough, said quietly. She stood beside him, her armor gleaming in the red sunlight. 50 trained soldiers against 3. The numbers do not work. Numbers never work for humans, said. We are weaker than most aliens, slower, more fragile. If we fought fair, we would have gone extinct a long time ago. So what do? We cheat, said simply. We use tools, we set traps, we change the rules of the game until we win. That's how humans survive. Was quiet for a moment. I have fought many species, some stronger than some more numerous, but none of them think like humans. You treat every fight like a puzzle to solve. Because that's what it is, said. Find the weakness, exploit it, win by being smarter, not stronger. And what is our weakness here? Thought about that. We're outnumbered, stuck in one location. Those are all weaknesses. He paused. But we also have advantages. We know the terrain, we have surprise, and they are coming to us, which means we control when and where the fight happens. That is still not enough. Maybe not, admitted. But I've got one more idea. It's crazy, it's dangerous, and it might kill us all, but it's better than giving up. He explained his plan. Listened, her silver eyes growing wider with each word. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. That is the most insane thing I have ever heard, she said finally. But will it work? Maybe, she looked at him. You would risk your life for us. You could run, take your ship and leave. We could not stop you. I could, agreed, but I won't. Why? Shrugged. Same reason I answered your distress signal. Same reason I fixed your ship. Same reason I fought today, because someone needs help and I'm here, he smiled. Plus, I've gotten kind of attached to you all. Would be ashamed to let Sung kill you. Touched his shoulder. In her culture, it was a gesture of deep respect. You are not a warrior, human. You are something better. You are someone who makes everyone around you stronger. Before could respond, the alarm sounded. Distant engines roared. Lights appeared in the darkening sky. The battalion was arriving. They moved to their positions and would stay in the cargo hauler protected by its hull. Took position at the main, her weapon ready. Stood at the command center of her ship, coordinating their defense. And went to his special position, carrying the most important piece of his plan. The gunships landed in a cloud of dust. Soldiers poured out, 50 of them, just as Sung had promised. They moved in perfect formation, spreading out to surround the crashed ship. Professional, deadly, overwhelming. Sung's voice boomed across the canyon. Last chance, Commander, surrender. His reply was to open fire. Her weapon carved through the evening air. A soldier went down, and then chaos erupted. The battle began. Energy weapons lit up the canyon like lightning. Explosions echoed off the walls. Proximity mines detonated, disrupting the formations. Fought like a demon, her blade dancing through enemies that got too close, but they kept coming, wave after wave. 3 soldiers broke through toward the command center. Shot one, but the other 2 were too close, too fast. She reached for her blade, knowing she would not be fast enough. Then appeared. He triggered his EMP cannon. The pulse washed over the 2 soldiers. Their armor shut down. They stumbled, suddenly blind and deaf inside their dead suits. His blade found them both before they could recover. "I thought you were in position," shouted over the noise. "I was," shouted back. "But the plan changed. Happens a lot with crazy plans." Moore pushed forward and fought back to back. His EMP cannon against their energy weapons, her blade against their armor. They held the line, but barely. Could see position being overrun. Could see gunships circling for another attack run. "This is not working," yelled. "I know," yelled back. "Time for the crazy part." He ran, not away from the fight but toward it, toward the center of the forces. Screamed his name, but he did not stop. Could not stop. Because the plan only worked if he was in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. And he had about 30 seconds to get there before everything exploded. Ran through fire and death. Energy bolts carved the air around him, explosions through sand and rock. A soldier lunged at him with a blade, ducked, rolled, kept running. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he could not stop. 20 seconds left. He reached the center of the formation. Soldiers surrounded him on all sides. Sung stood on a rock directing his troops. When he saw, he laughed. "The human thinks he is brave," Sung shouted. "Foolish creature, you have just run to your death." "Maybe," gasped. He dropped to his knees, his hands on a device at his feet. "But I'm taking you with me." Sung's laughter died. He looked down and saw what had placed in the center of his forces during the confusion of battle. The ship's main power core. Had spent 3 hours rigging it to be portable, to be moved, to be turned into the biggest bomb any of them had ever seen. "Fall back," Sung screamed. "Everyone fall back." But it was too late. Press the detonator. The core did not explode. That was not's plan. Instead, it released a massive electromagnetic pulse. Every piece of electronic equipment within 50 meters died instantly. Armor shut down. Weapons went dead. Communication systems sparked and failed. Even the gunship's engines stuttered and quit. The soldiers stood frozen in their dead armor, unable to see or hear, their weapons useless in their hands. Now's voice rang out. She charged into the helpless forces. Without their armor systems, they were vulnerable, blind, confused. The battle turned into a massacre, not of killing but of disabling, and moved through them like ghosts, destroying armor, taking weapons, leaving enemies conscious but helpless. Stood in the center of it all, watching his crazy plan actually work. Then he saw Sung. The commander had been far enough from the pulse that his armor still worked. He raised his weapon, pointing it at. His face twisted with rage behind his helmet. "Clever human," Sung growled, "but not clever enough." He fired. The energy bolt should have killed, would have killed him, but appeared from nowhere, her blade catching the blast. The energy scattered across her already damaged armor. She stumbled but did not fall. "Nobody kills our human," said. She advanced on Sung, her blade ready. They fought, commander against commander, was fast and skilled, but Sung was bigger, stronger, his armor undamaged. They traded blows, each looking for an opening. Then Sung found one. His blade scored across side. She cried out and fell. Sung raised his weapon for the killing blow. Shot took him in the chest. The energy bolt was not enough to kill through his armor, but it knocked him backward. Before he could recover, appeared. She should have been resting in the cargo hauler, but she had seen the fight through had seen her sisters in danger, and nothing, not wounds or weakness, would keep her from them. Her shot hit Sung in the leg. He went down. His blade found his throat. Yield commanded. Sung looked up at the 4 females and 1 male human surrounding him. His forces were defeated. His armor was damaged. He had lost. I yield, he said through clenched teeth. The battle was over. Collapsed to the sand, his entire body shaking. Adrenaline had kept him going, but now it drained away, leaving him exhausted. Limped over and sat beside him. Her wound had reopened. Blood stained her armor, but she was smiling. You ran into the middle of an enemy army, she said. That was either the bravest or thing I have ever seen. Definitely stupid, said. Brave people think before they act. And yet it worked. Barely. They sat in silence for a moment, watching the sun set over the red planet. Was organizing the captured, stripping them of weapons. Was being treated by who had finally emerged from the cargo hauler. The battlefield was littered with disabled armor and equipment, but everyone was alive. You saved my life, said quietly. When you threw that metal at Sung, when you treated my wound, and now with your insane plan, I owe you a debt I can never repay. You don't owe me anything, said. In my culture, I do. A life debt is sacred. From this day forward, you are my battle companion. Where you go, I go. What threatens you threatens me. Looked at her. I'm just a cargo hauler. I fix things. I'm not a warrior. No, agreed. You are something better. You are someone who makes broken things whole, who turns defeat into victory with nothing but cleverness and courage. That is worth more than any blade. A sound made them look up. Ships were descending from orbit, big ships with the markings of the Empire. The fleet had finally arrived. Walked over to. My people are here. They will take Sung and his soldiers prisoner. They will repair our ship, and they will want to hear how 4 and 1 human defeated a battalion. Don't forget the EMP cannon, said. That did most of the work. The EMP cannon that you built, corrected. Using technology you barely understood and tools that should not have worked. She knelt beside him. Human cargo hauler and mechanic. You have earned the respect of the Empire. We do not give such respect lightly. She removed a piece of her chest armor. The same piece had repaired, with the neural interface he had modified. She placed it in his hands. This is a gift, she said. Among my people, to give someone a piece of your armor is to give them a piece of your soul. It means you trust them completely. You respect them without reservation. You would stand beside them in any battle. Looked at the armor piece. It still glowed faintly, warm in his hands. I don't know what to say. Say you will remember us, said. Say that when you travel the stars, you will know that you have friends among the. And say that if we ever need someone to fix the impossible, to survive the unsurvivable, we can call on you. I can do that, said. The fleet landed. Medics rushed out to treat the wounded. Engineers examined the captured equipment. Officers wanted reports, explanations, details, but made them wait. First, she helped to his feet. Then she and stood in formation around him. This human, announced to her people, is not a warrior, but he taught us what it means to truly fight, not with strength but with intelligence, not with weapons but with tools, not by being unbreakable but by refusing to stay broken. The officers looked confused. One of them, a male with more medals than armor, stepped forward. Commander, you defeated a battalion with a human cargo hauler. How is this possible? Smiled. Humans don't survive because they are strong. They survive because when something needs doing, they do it. Strength be damned. That is not weakness. That is humanity. She turned too. And perhaps it is something we forgot. We have relied on our strength, our technology, our self-repairing systems for so long that we forgot how to adapt, how to improvise, how to make do with what we have instead of what we wish we had. Are you saying we should learn from humans? The officer asked. He sounded skeptical. I am saying we already have, said. This human showed us that being a warrior is not just about fighting. It is about refusing to accept defeat, about finding solutions where none exist, about protecting those around you with whatever tools you have, whether those tools are weapons or wrenches. Over the next 3 days, the fleet repaired ship. They also repaired cargo hauler and then some. They upgraded his engines, added new shields, installed communication systems that would let him call for help anywhere in this sector. Gifts, they said, for the human who saved their commander. Tried to refuse. They insisted. Eventually, he gave up arguing and just accepted it. On the morning of the 4th day, prepared to leave. His cargo run was already weeks behind schedule. He needed to get back to work, but saying goodbye was harder than he expected. Gave him a medical kit. Human medicine is crude, she said, but effective. This kit combines both our methods. Use it well. Gave him a blade. You are not a fighter, she admitted, but even mechanics need to defend themselves. This blade is light enough for human strength. Use it wisely. Gave him a communicator. My oath stands, she said. I am your battle companion. If you call, I will answer, no matter where in the galaxy you are. Walked him to his ship. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, You fixed more than my armor, human. You fixed my understanding of strength. I thought warriors were defined by how hard they could hit, but you showed me that true warriors are defined by how hard they refuse to fall. I'm not a warrior, said one last time. No, agreed. You are something better. You are someone who makes everyone around you stronger, who turns ordinary people into heroes, who fixes broken things and broken people alike. She touched her chest where her armor had been. You will always have a place among the, remember that. Climbed into his ship. The engines, freshly upgraded, hummed with power. He lifted off, leaving the red planet behind. As he accelerated toward the stars, he looked back at the 4 standing on the sand, watching him go. He had answered a distress signal and found warriors, had fixed armor and forged friendships, had survived the impossible using nothing but human stubbornness and a refusal to quit. Not bad for a cargo hauler. Smiled and set course for his next delivery. The galaxy was huge and full of things that needed fixing. And now, thanks to 4 warriors, he knew he would never fly alone again. Behind him, on the red planet, watched his ship disappear into the sky. One of her officers approached. Commander, your report is due. What should I record about the human? Thought about that, then she smiled. Record that we learned something from humanity today. Record that they are not warriors in the way we understand. They do not have strength or speed or natural armor, but they have something more important. She touched the spot where had repaired her armor, where his steady hands had worked without hesitation. They have the ability to look at any situation, no matter how impossible, and find a way to survive, to adapt, to overcome. And that makes them warriors. No, said, that makes them human, which might be even better. She turned and walked back to her ship. There was much work to be done, reports to file, equipment to repair, but she would remember this lesson, and she would make sure every warrior learned it too. Sometimes the smallest, weakest person in the room is the one who changes everything, not through strength, but through the refusal to give up, through cleverness and courage, and the simple act of fixing what is broken. That was humanity, and the galaxy was better for it.